This is the second video in the Developer series. In the first video, we created a simple integration between a table in Dynamics AX and a table that we defined and automated as a Windows service. We'll now build on the first project by creating additional fields we'll read from and write to. Looking at our previous example as a starting point, we'll add additional values and modify or create a different view of where those values are derived. First, we'll click on the field where we'd like to see additional information, then select Drill Down. We can see the source definition for how we're getting this data. At this point, we can choose to modify the view or we can create a new view. To create a new view, click on the green Add button in the lower left corner of the screen. This will bring up the Custom View Designer. Here, we can choose the table or tables we'd like to work with. We'll use the production table or prod table that we worked with previously. Now, select the fields we'd like to see in our new view. We can also add additional tables and select fields from them. We'll add the prod route table. And link it to the first one using the common field of prod ID. And then we'll select those additional fields we'll need. We can preview the data by clicking on the green triangle toolbar button to bring up the SQL execution report window where we can verify the output is accurate. We'll use this view as the source endpoint for the reading data. If needed, we can continue to add additional tables and make this as complex as necessary. However, for this example, we'll simply save our view at its current level and name it Prod Table 1. This will create the source endpoint. We also have the option to create additional endpoints using this data, but we'll choose No for this example. Our libraries are then recompiled to reflect the changes we've made. You'll see that a new table has been added called Prod Table 1. When we click on the Expand gadget next to the table name, we can see the fields we selected from multiple tables to be included in this new table. We can close this window and move on. Next, we'll modify where we will put the data. We'll select My Tables from the Integration Master Data list by double-clicking on the table name. This will open the Edit Master Data screen. We used this table in our previous example and it has 4 fields. We now need to modify it and add 2 additional fields. We do this by clicking on the green check mark, which opens the SQL Server Management Studio, where we'll enter the names of those fields. We'll minimize that window and return to the Edit Master Data screen where we can add to the existing information in the SQL statement field to include these 2 new fields. Now we can preview the data to ensure it's accurate. You'll notice the new blank fields have been added and are ready for data entry. We can close our preview and save our changes. We can go to our mapping screen now. Our original mapping was coming from the prod orders table, but we're going to modify that to come from a new table. We'll refresh our view and select the Dynamics AX table called Prod Table 1. We can copy that down to the rows below by right-clicking and selecting Copy Down so that it's included in all the existing records. We can add additional records by clicking on the green Add button and then selecting our 2 newly created fields for the targets, referencing their counterparts for the source. We can preview by clicking on the Integrate button. We'll specify only one record, click Acquire, and we can see the structure of our new map with sample data in place. We can see the source data going in, and since we haven't modified or transformed the data, it looks the same going out. If everything looks good, we can recompile our map by clicking on the Recompile button in the toolbar. Then we need to also recompile our existing service. We'll click on the Real-Time Services tab and select our service. Click on the Monitor button to open the Transaction Monitor. then click on the Recompile button. A requester will ask if we want to deploy the newly compiled service. We'll click Yes and then start our updated service. You can see that we are getting information for those additional fields. We can look at our target and, selecting All Records, we can see the additional fields process. We have modified our existing integration to use a different source endpoint to gather data using multiple related tables. We've added additional fields from those related tables and included them in our mapping. We've updated our deployed service to reflect those changes, and it is now successfully running. This concludes our lesson.